Okay, chapter 2. This is my little phrase that I say all the time.
Oh, yes, it is.
You see from where you're standing.
And so we've lost our light.
Well, I can still see.
That's good. Unless somebody throws us a super chat, then we'll be in darkness.
We'll be in
and
darkness.
Then light, and then darkness, and you're like, I dare you, go on, it'll be
No,
fun.
we'll read by candlelight. Jeez Louise.
I dare you, it's fun, go on.
You
Torment
see from
us.
where you're standing. When folks first come to this path, it's common to see the desire to progress along it as quickly as possible. I want to know all the things. I want to know
it
it
now.
However, as we've said before, it's not the destination that's important, but rather the journey itself. I mean, I learn something all the time.
Me, every day,
The
still.
path of the craft of the wise is not a laser straight line that can be negotiated at light speed.
It would be
It
unwise.
has many twists and turns, and there are quite a few ups and downs along the way. Within this chapter, we hope to show you that even these are a necessary part of the awakening to the magic, and that there are no shortcuts. Only by personally experiencing the mysteries will you be able to deepen your understanding and broaden your perspective. But before you can experience the mysteries, you must be properly prepared and ready to experience them. You won't even know what you're looking at if you don't know what you're looking at.
What's a mystery?
Please understand that time spent in preparation is never time wasted. You wouldn't want to set out to climb Snowdon on a whim wearing a t-shirt and sneakers.
We have to change that now. It's Uthva. It's got its Welsh
name
name back. Uthva. Yeah.
So it's all about the journey. Your journey, to be precise. Every witch's journey is unique to them. As much as this is a journey along a well-worn path, it is equally an expedition into the uncharted territory of the innermost reaches of the psyche.
Are you scared yet? You will be.
Journeys of self-discovery are by their very nature unsettling. Sometimes what lies beneath may be deeply troubling and open up old wounds. But it's only by doing so that the necrotic tissue can be excised, allowing for complete healing to take place. We humans are fragile and complex creatures. We are capable of the most beautiful, generous, caring, and selfless acts of love, and equally capable of the most depraved acts of hate, violence, and cruelty. The potential for all of these lies within each and every one of us, which is why journeying within can sometimes be decidedly scary. Perhaps you remember that scene from Star Wars where Luke receives instructions from his Jedi Master Yoda, who tells him to enter an ominous-looking cave. "I'm not frightened," declares Luke. "Oh, you will be. You will be," asserts Yoda in a particularly sinister manner. "Why? What's in there?" asks Luke. Yoda responds, "Only what you take with you." To further paraphrase Yoda's wisdom, if a witch you'll be, then journey you must. You have to find your place of peace and power and become comfortable not merely within your own skin, but within your own psyche as well. One of the most significant mysteries that in order to truly see inside yourself, you have to look from outside.
It's true.
And we've said it before and we'll say it many times again. You see from where you're standing. When it comes to objective introspection, you are likely to find your view somewhat occluded if you're standing in your own way. So consider the following analogy. We're standing in a beautiful forest. Look at this magnificent forest. Isn't it just amazing? And you say, "What forest? All I can see is this huge tree right in front of me." Well, maybe if you take a chainsaw and cut it down, I'll be able to see the forest. This approach is definitely not going to help you. May the gods forbid such foolishness. But if you were to cut down the tree, you would still find your view obstructed by the other trees. Should you continue to cut down trees, eventually your view will become unimpeded, but you will no longer have a forest to see. You must change your perspective by actually moving to a place where you can see the forest from a distance. For only by detaching yourself from the situation that seeks to occupy the entirety of your attention can you make an objective assessment of what you're actually dealing with. Having learned to recognize the magnificence and splendor of the forest from afar, you will then be able to re-enter the woodland and truly experience its beauty from within, your new appreciation of the forest being aided by a deeper understanding of its nature, gained from seeing it as the whole. It will no longer be a bunch of trees that obscure your view, but rather a colony of sentient beings who are aware of your presence within. Don't be surprised if they actually start talking to you.
Can I throw in a tiny interjection, because there's a footnote there. There's a fantastic book which I'd love you guys to read if you get a chance. It's by Peter Vollenben, The Hidden Life of Trees, What They Feel, How They Communicate, Discoveries from a Secret World. It's a really, really fascinating book.
He's an Australian guy.
No, he's German.
Oh, I thought it was Melbourne.
That's where the book's published, but he is German.
He's German.
He's German, I believe.
Anyway, that's the book about the mycelium and the structure of
it's amazing.
How trees communicate, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Don't be surprised if they start talking to you.
Yeah.
And the same is true of yourself. You must learn to recognize the traits that hamper your progress on the path, something more readily achieved from an external perspective. It's often said, if we could only see ourselves as others see us. While this may be somewhat helpful, it is not a perfect solution. Things may not always be as they appear at first sight, and a purely external perspective lacks context. One cannot fully appreciate the true nature of the forest until they've actually walked into the woods and experienced it from the inside as well. You need to acquire the skills necessary to be able to make an objective assessment of yourself, and this is absolutely key, to make this assessment without judgment.
It's hard.
For most folks, this means radically changing the way we look at things, especially ourselves. We need to rethink our thinking, a process that begins with a serene acceptance. We must accept that our traits are neither good nor bad, they are simply traits. We must consciously choose not to struggle against ourselves, as internal conflict is a battle that can't be won. All too often we find fault with ourselves and fight to repress, ignore, or otherwise subdue these undesirable traits. But this is almost always an exercise in futility. If you have an injured knee and need to run a race, hacking off your leg isn't going to help you run faster.
True.
Perhaps the most important thing in learning to look at things in a completely different way is actually learning to look. To paraphrase Sherlock Holmes, most of us see, but we do not observe. Within our tradition, a very important part of the training and work of an initiate is focused upon developing the acuity of the senses. One of the ways we've found to be most effective at getting folks to observe rather than to just see is having them focus on a particular color and make mental note of whenever they encounter it. At the end of the day, we ask that they recount their experiences. When and where did you see that particular color? What were the circumstances? What feelings did it invoke? What else did you notice? And things like that. We strongly recommend that every aspiring witch should keep a special book where you write down notable thoughts, dreams, feelings, events, and other general oddities and synchronicities. In our tradition, it's kindly known as the Weirdness Journal.
You gotta have your weirdness.
In modern society, we humans have become increasingly distanced from nature. We live, work, and travel in comfortable, heated, air-conditioned environments unaffected by the changing of the seasons. Artificial light transforms the length of our day so that they're no longer constrained by rising and setting of the sun. Even our imagination has suffered on the relentless onslaught of television, computer games, virtual reality, social media, all of which constantly strive for our attention. Our isolation from the natural world is almost complete. In order to awaken to the magic, one has to first awaken their senses, and there is no better way to do this than connecting to nature. Go take a look at a tree, but don't just look at it. Observe it. Look closely at the bark on its trunk. Study the lands, cracks, and grooves of its surface. Contemplate the patterns that they make. What do they make you think of? How do they make you feel? You should repeat this process and revisit the tree at different times of the year. Notice how it changes with the seasons. If you can go back to the tree exactly 1 year after you first met, look closely at what differences there are and what has stayed the same. But you notice things you didn't see the last time. Repeat this process as often as you can with almost everything you encounter until it becomes a habit. Gradually, you'll start to awaken your senses and see things that have been hidden in plain sight. Remain mindful that this is a process, and processes take time. Exactly how much time is impossible to say, as it varies widely between individuals. However, there's one thing we can say certainly. There is no shortcut, and impatience will only impede your progress.
It's true that, isn't it?
You skipped a page.
I did.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
There. The harder you push. You want to do that?
Sure. The harder you push against the door that has no key, the stronger it will resist you. It is not possible to force your way through the door that leads to the mysteries. You simply have to allow it to open. Perhaps one of the most effective remedies to impatience, aside from serene acceptance, is to have realistic expectations. As we said before, one cannot learn the mysteries, for they cannot be taught. They may only be experienced, and experience itself may only be gained over time. This is, after all, the craft of the wise. Wisdom is not attained without knowledge gained from experience. When it comes to knowledge, there are things we know, and there are things we know we don't yet know. But it's wisdom that allows us to understand there are many, many more things we don't even know we don't know. We humans think we're really smart. Heck, we can split the atom, build supercomputers, and send rockets into space. But seldom do we accept that there are things we simply don't know we don't know. Instead, we attempt to make things fit the constructs of our understanding, rather than allowing our understanding to be broadened. You might as well get used to the idea that get-rich-quick schemes don't work. If you were just handed everything and didn't have to work for it, you most probably would not respect it, and you most certainly would have been robbed of all of the aha moments that go along with uncovering, discovering, and reclaiming your place on this well-worn path.
I love the ahas.
Aren't they? That's why we do it. We mentioned at the start of this chapter, the path is not a straight one. If anything, it's more of a circle than a line between 2 points.
A spiral.
Certainly it's cylindrical, for it follows the wheel of the year. But it would be, as Lisa says, more accurate to describe it as a spiral. When it comes to learning, repetition is key. The more times we do something, the more familiar it becomes. Everyone has the potential to learn, regardless of ability. It all comes down to desire, dedication, and commitment. Assuming they had the desire, absolutely anyone could learn to play the piano. Imagine, if you will, the piano teacher coming to your home and telling you to press middle C. On the first day, you have no idea what middle C even looks like, and then you find out the note actually looks more like the lowercase letter B. The piano teacher tells you that your homework is to press middle C every day and listen to what it sounds like. By the second day, you already know exactly what key to press. Maybe by the third or fourth day, you can even hear the tone of middle C in your head before you even enter the room where the piano resides. The more you practice, the better you'll become. The same is true of the path. When you first set off, things are decidedly unfamiliar, somewhat bewildering, and sometimes even downright strange. But each turn of the wheel is an upward spiral where you can look back at where you were previously and apply the knowledge gained over the subsequent turns. You see from where you're standing. So in summary, in this chapter, we've explained that the path of the craft of the wise is a mystery tradition. You don't know what you don't know, and we can't tell you. You have to experience the mysteries for yourself in order to truly understand them. We've also told you that it takes time to gain experience and that you need to be patient, particularly with yourself. Impatience leads to frustration, which causes people to give up. We've had people who were learning get frustrated with us and quit, just saying, "Can't you just tell us everything?" So, again, try looking at it like learning to play the piano. You'll never be able to do a command performance if you don't know where middle C is. But don't ever doubt that you have the potential to learn and in time become adept in your craft. Repetition is key, for the more you do something, the better you become. The renowned virtuoso violinist Pablo de Sarasate said, "For 37 years I practiced 14 hours a day. Now they call me a genius." In short, ability comes from desire, dedication and commitment. Just have an open mind, cut yourself some slack and be patient. You see from where you're standing.
Okay.